Greetings, everyone. Welcome to October. Welcome to your Astro-Weather Check for tomorrow's Libra New Moon and total solar eclipse. So this is a big energy with the potential that it has for the clearing out that is there in many ways. So I'm going to do another episode where we're going to take a multidisciplinary approach and lens to the energies. And I'm going to pull in the symbols again this time, oracle cards. I will read the horoscopes that I wrote for tomorrow's eclipse for your rising signs. And I want to take a little bit of a look back into last year to just kind of review the Libra eclipses that we've had in this series since the nodes have been in Aries and Libra. I think it's important to kind of reflect a little bit now that this is the last one. This is the last South Node Libra eclipse that we're going to have in almost 2 decades. So this energy is really, really important. This timeline that's been developing in the world, but also in your own life, is really important to pay attention to, since we won't have this opportunity for another many, many, many years. So going back in time can actually be really helpful. It has been in my own personal experience since I've been studying and practicing astrology to look back and kind of see where the eclipses happened and what was going on during that time, and then to connect the dots and kind of see like what chapter has been written in your own story. So we'll do that, and we'll look at the chart as we usually do. This one is, the chart isn't as zhuzhed up, I guess you could say, as at least the last several that we've looked at, and particularly the last several full moons. Those have been really deeply involved, and I had a whole list of aspects to cover. This time I do not. So we'll use the chart, just because we always look at the chart anyway, but that won't be a big part of today's episode. So the first thing I want to do, timestamp. Today is Tuesday, October 1st. It is almost 8:30 a.m. here in Atlantic City. We have just turned the page on a new month. And I want to start off with just reading the text for the energy for the month of October from Louise Hay's I Can Do It calendar. This is a calendar that they put out every year. Every day has a different affirmation. And every month kind of has a page that gives you the summary of the energy and sort of the overall intentions that each affirmation for every day tie into. So I want to start there since we're in this fresh new energy of October. It's fall now since the last time we talked. We had our equinox. I can't remember if that was right before or after the Pisces full moon, but regardless, it's feeling like fall now, finally. It's been very stormy and cloudy and rainy and really foggy here over the last several days, and that's supposed to clear out as the week goes on. So I'm really looking forward to that. And just a couple of announcements. We are in the final days now of my crowdfunding campaign that I launched with the Leo New Moon back in August. And it's interesting, as I can see that there have been hundreds of plays on the episodes, the Astro-Weather Checks, since then, which I've only done those. I haven't done a full podcast episode since then. That was a full podcast episode. It was like a hybrid Astro-Weather Check and podcast episode for Becoming Chiron. So I've had one family member contribute and one listener contribute. So just a little nudge if you are able to contribute to kind of help me through this phase with kind of figuring out where I am with all of the creative works and projects that I offer for free, which is getting to a point where I need to make a change there. That crowdfunding campaign is open for contributions until my birthday or the day after my birthday. My birthday's on Sunday, so October 6th. So you can contribute up until the 7th. But if you want to contribute, if you're able to, and you've forgotten about it, here's one final reminder. That would be the best birthday gift in the world for me and give me a little bit of a cushion that I need to kind of work through this space where the finances are getting a little rocky and I'm not quite sure how much longer I can do all that I'm doing and continue offering them for free. So the horoscopes, the Astro-Weather Checks, the podcast, the writing, the blogs that we do through Sea Goddess, the Tuesday Lives, like I'm just not quite sure where all that is going. Just a little personal share for me. Libra is my 6th house. My sun is in Libra, so these eclipses have been working on me for the last year and a few months now in a very big way, as they've been kind of changing my day to day and my work. And this has come up to the table as a big issue right now. So I'm intending to do an Astro-Weather check for the Aries full moon towards the end of this month, and we'll kind of see where October goes. But that might be the last one for a while if I have to re-enter the workforce in some way. So just heads up on that. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm still in my own kind of eclipse season, reworking, transformation, release, all of that in my own with my work, which is, a huge part of my life at this point, as I've been walking my true path now for a little over 3 years. So that is up for kind of reevaluation at this point, depending on where the crowdfunding campaign goes. And the one really awesome thing that's happened since I put that out into the world is people have been booking more. So that is, I just had to move the energy in some way. So that has been, if that continues to sustain, like I'm getting to the point now where I'm a little over just covering my expenses every month with the bookings. So that is the other way. If the contribution isn't possible, which I understand for a lot of people, it's probably not at this point. But I want to work. Like that is the main intention and goal through this whole thing. I just when I get to work, when I get to read with people and teach and all of that, like I'm just so lit up. Like my soul is just fed in this most beautiful way. And when I don't get to work, I just like a part of me gets like extinguished. It's the only way I can describe it. So either way, I mean, there's a link with that crowdfunding campaign to all of my offerings. I've actually reworked my page completely, so it's all a lot clearer, categorized. So everything that's on there is all of my reading services, aromatherapy services, astrology and aromatherapy. All of the products that I created for Sea Goddess. I created our entire line of signature aromatherapy products, from a natural deodorant to an energy cleansing spray, a perfume, a lip and skin balm. Like there's a lot there. And I am still actually offering a coupon to my birthday as well. You can find that on our specials page, but it's on a 60-minute astrology reading with me, and that's $44 off if you use the code Ursula44. And my Goddess Dreams linen spray is, there's a coupon for that available right now as well. You can find a link to that under the aromatherapy shop, just the shop tab on our website. And that is Goddess Dreams is what it's called. And the coupon code is Goddess Dreams 20. So those two things I also have going to my birthday as well as additional savings for everybody. First time reading. We've already worked together, I can certainly work with you on a check-in. If you want to check in, if it's been a little while, I do offer those as well for existing clients at reduced rates once we've already worked together. So there's that as well. And then just a reminder, I'm going to pull dragons into today's episode. So our dragons class that Jess and I taught is on our downloadable classes page now. So you can learn more about working with your dragons, which I highly encourage with this energy that we're in. That class is only $22. So that's there as well. If you want to learn more, I have 4 classes there now. 3 were independently taught by me and 1 was taught by Jess. We partnered on that one last year on the dragons. So those are ways, that's just simple and easy. The classes are already there recorded. You get the recording and the PDF class materials. So that's all there. Putting that out there one last time in hopes that it just continues the momentum in whatever way this is received by whomever is watching. Contribution or a booking or purchasing something from the shop or the downloadable classes would be wonderful. And I am back in Mays Landing at the Sage Lady this week on Thursday for in-person readings. All of my time slots are still available for that. And that is what I'm calling Navigating Your Natal Chart. And those are half-hour readings for $44 in Mays Landing, New Jersey. So if you're local, If we haven't yet worked together, we can start there. If you already know your chart, we can cover whatever. We can talk about whatever you want for the half hour. So there's that. And then we have a whole bunch of really exciting events coming up for October. You can find all that on our events page. So it's seagoddesshealingarts.com. Everything is right there, accessible from the homepage. And then my page, my services, seagoddesshealingarts.com/Ursa Alchemy. And that's always a link in the episode notes on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, all the things. So just a reminder, this video version is available on Spotify and on our Sea Goddess YouTube, and then the audio on Apple Podcasts and your favorite podcast platform, wherever you like to listen. And just two more things before we get into the material for today. You can now, I keep reminding everybody, you can comment on Spotify now on podcast episodes. That's a relatively new feature that they've just enabled. So if last Astro-Weather Check resonated for you, if it motivated you to get out and watch Mary Poppins again, or Mary Poppins Returns, which I found to be really impressive. I actually did watch it. I inspired myself with the last podcast episode. That was a phenomenal production. And I'd never read the book, so I didn't know that the next one was an actual continuation of the story. So the Banks kids are all grown up and it's a continuation of that. And Mary Poppins returning to the family. I thought it was a remake initially, and I just wasn't into it because how can you remake the original? Like, there's just no. But I studied it more and I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. This is not a remake. So Emily Blunt and the whole cast is just, I was blown away, totally blown away, and how they honored the true storyline, and just the way that they did the movie was so similar to the original, and there are surprise appearances by some of the original actors. So that was really cool. So I highly, highly, highly recommend if you have not checked that out yet. But if that last podcast episode inspired you in some way, like, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. You can comment on this one. You can go back and comment on that one. Engagement with the audience is something that I love because I just, create that dialogue. Like, this is still kind of a weird experience sitting here in front of a computer alone talking into a microphone. So just remember, you can engage now. You can put stars on Spotify, I believe now. You might be able to do reviews as well, but the commenting thing is what I'm really, really interested in as far as just feedback from how the episodes are resonating. And then also, you can still comment on our YouTube. I mean, that's one of the easier ways. And, likes, shares, follows, all that also help. So what I'm getting at is to support the projects, to help me get to the point where I can actually, start monetizing some of this. Those kinds of things help too. I still have only 2 reviews on Apple Podcasts, and that's one of the simplest, easiest ways. If you're in the episode, you just scroll to the bottom and you can put a star or a review right there, and then that just ticks the numbers up and helps the project get seen with all the, the algorithms and all the things that all of us creators are kind of up against always. So that is my spiel for today. Yeah, so I'm just kind of excited to see where this goes in the next week, and then I'll just be in my own little process for a little while, and I will update all of you where we're at with the next Astro-Weather Check, or if a podcast episode comes to me between now and then, we'll have episode 40 of Becoming Chiron, which would be pretty cool. So with all of that being said, let's move into our content for today on the eclipse that's incoming tomorrow. So this is the calendar page for October from the 2024 Louise Hay I Can Do It affirmations calendar. And it says, the more I love myself, the less stress I have. So this month, I focus on how truly remarkable I am. I know it is now time to stop apologizing for anything and everything, as I am an empowered person who comes from a positive, loving place. I relax and let go of whatever is no longer serving me, allowing harmony and joy to envelop me instead. I especially embrace my inner child, keeping its sense of wonder alive within me. I do kind things for myself and remember to have lots of fun. So that is the vibe of the month, and the one thing to really, really, really keep in mind as we move further and further into October. The inner child piece, I do also want to touch on because we had a Mercury cazimi yesterday. So in English, that is Mercury coming to the same degree as the sun. This time around, so this links back to the Mercury retrograde that we had in August. The cazimi then, the beginning of the Mercury cycle that we're now in, was in the sign of Leo, which relates so much to our inner child. So this is a really good reminder now that we're halfway through to whatever came into your awareness, into your consciousness. Think back to August. I think it was August 17th was the cazimi. Don't quote me on that. Actually, I probably have it right here. Let me try and find that. But regardless, as I'll continue talking as I look through this. The 18th, August 18th was the cazimi in Leo at 26 degrees. So we are now halfway through that, and there's a maturation process forming for whatever kind of started back then for you in your life. It's going to be a very specific thing to everybody, as 26 degrees of Leo is a very specific place in everyone's chart individually. There was a very particular idea that came into my consciousness then, and over the weekend that had definitely matured and materialized in a very big way. So however that looks for you, that energy is there. That energy, Mercury is in Libra now, so the sun's in Libra, so that conjunction, that cazimi was yesterday in Libra. I think it was around 9 degrees. So there's a linking now between whatever started back in Leo now to this Libra space. And then the second part of the cycle, the idea or whatever it is, will continue to mature until the next retrograde in November, December. So just know that that energy is also underlying. Mercury is heavily involved in this new moon and this eclipse. It's right there with the sun and the moon in the south node. And we'll look at the chart in a minute. So I just want to mention the themes that were talked about in this just small blurb to start off the month. The balance, the harmony, the release of the people-pleasing, the inner child reminder. Like all of that is there astrologically as well. So we kick off the month with that. And let's do the chart first. Because I'm looking at these piles of things that I have in front of me to cover. Let's start with the chart. That's a good opener. And we'll also start with the review of the Libra eclipses. All right. So tomorrow at 2:49 p.m. here on the East Coast is when we'll have our Libra New Moon. This is another total solar eclipse. Not visible here in the United States like the last one back in April. I think this one's only visible for a southern portion of the globe. As we know, eclipses do not have to be visible to feel them. The energy is still there. So if you know where Libra is in your chart, if you do, then you can get more specific with this. If you don't, there's still a storyline that's been developing since last year. So let's kind of go back in time real quick. I'll give you the dates and the degrees, and then we'll talk about tomorrow's eclipse. We've had, so the nodes shifted, the north node shifted into Aries, the south node shifted into Libra, July of last year. They spend roughly 18 months in each sign when they shift, and then they move on. So since we've been together since April of 2022, we've had this, that was the second shift, and now we'll have a third one incoming in January. So the nodes will move into Pisces and Virgo in January. So we are now in the last few months of, excuse me, this Libra Aries energy. We will have one more eclipse in Aries to kick off the eclipses for next year in March, I think it is. And then they'll be in Pisces and Virgo. We had a kind of start of it a little bit with the lunar eclipse with the Pisces full moon. So the energy is already starting to shift. We had a total solar eclipse last year on October 14th at 21 degrees. We had a partial lunar eclipse this year on March 25th at 5 degrees in Libra. And now tomorrow's total solar eclipse will be at 10 degrees of Libra at 2:49 p.m., like I said. So Wednesday, October 2nd. So those are key dates and points to kind of think back on. A lot of times I go back to my calendar. If you keep a digital calendar like Google or Apple or whatever, if you're having trouble kind of jogging your memory, just think back to last October with the frame, within the frame of these themes of releasing what is disturbing your peace, getting to a point where you've been growing into your more individual self, independent self, and releasing things like people pleasing. Think of fairness, justice, harmony, aesthetics. All of these are Libra themes. Excuse me. So with South Node energies, those are all South Node eclipses. There's a release of something. So the storyline has been developing on release and taking action to release things, relationships, whatever it is that take away from your sense of balance, harmony, equilibrium in your life. I've shared my personal story along the way, and now I've shared kind of where I'm at with the end of this until the next whenever in 20 years. So that's definitely something that I think everybody has a tale to tell about. Think about it, reflect on it. This is the last one. You're at the end of the line. This is the last chance. Usually if one has not taken action oneself with something like this, especially when we're at the end, this is how eclipses work. It will be taken care of for you if you're not on path. So there's change. There's like a final story chapter. The ending is being written right now for the undoing of how this energy has been working on you since July of last year. I was thinking about this as I was sort of waking. Like I'm recording this pretty early because I just started getting all these hits and downloads and images and everything just started coming together. So pardon me if this sounds vulgar to anybody, but the energy that I was getting, like the image that probably everybody can relate to, is like those automatic flushing toilets, and how sometimes when you're still using one of them, they just flush, like the motion sensors messed up or whatever. That's the energy that I'm getting, that I can relate something to, like physically in the world that we all experience, to what's happening right now with the astrology. If sitting there actively flushing right now, it's going to automatically flush for you, whether you're ready for it or not. That's where we're at. This is a final squeeze. So looking at the chart, we can see that for here in Atlantic City, it's a Capricorn rising. We've got the sun and the moon and the south node and Mercury all up here pretty close together. We have this eclipse is ruled by Venus. Venus rules the sign of Libra. Venus right now is in Scorpio. So there is a depth to this that is not usually part of this energy because it's coming from the ruler of the party in Libra. I always say when I'm working with somebody that has Venus in Scorpio, that she goes deep. The desire is very deep. There's a sexuality to it. There's a deep sensuality to it, especially with the emotional part. So that emotional element is very much there, and we'll cover the other part of that in a moment. So things that are deeply maybe frozen within you, thawing out and rising to the surface with relationship themes and the connection to everything you love and value being on the table at this eclipse is there because the ruler is in Scorpio, and that's how Venus in Scorpio works. She might like to play a little bit more friskily than most. She might like to wear loafers or stilettos with spikes on them. This is the energy that is a big undercurrent with tomorrow's eclipse, in addition to everything I already mentioned. Our frame of mind, our mindset is totally involved as well. Our thoughts, our perspective, the maturation of whatever started back in August is also there. You can see how close Mercury is to the sun and the moon at this time, and the south node. Mercury will be at 11 degrees, the sun and the moon at 10, and the south node at 6 degrees of Libra. So there's that element primarily. That's the big energy. Then, so last Astro-Weather Check, I covered the kite. The whole tagline was "Let's go fly a kite," and we went, we played around with it from there. The kite is now broken and unable to fly. It still has parts, but it's not a complete kite anymore. And if you tried to fly it, it would fall on your head. So that is no longer there. However, we have all month pretty much this water trine, this grand water trine being built between Venus and Scorpio, Saturn in Pisces, and Mars in Cancer. So this is the emotional connection to all of this. Venus with everything I've already described. Saturn with the form of the dream. We've all been in this energy with Saturn in Pisces now since March of last year. Saturn will give this a bit of an oomph and a reality check energy and an authority figure energy with the connection. So it's on our side with this as far as the release part and the actively being an active participant in it. Also with the connection to Mars, that severing energy, like Venus and Mars might go, they're having a very harmonious, it's not an argument right now. It's a harmonious conversation of how to work things out. But you have to honor the emotions. You have to honor your part of the situation, whatever it is. If the nudge to leave or get out has been there for a long time, it's time to act on that now. They can have a civil conversation, still break up. This Mars and Cancer energy is going to get more and more and more prevalent as our months go on, with the Mars retrograde coming up, which I will cover in some form or fashion in the future as it starts getting more and more potent and closer. But the Mars energy is a very driving force and building energy right now, and it's not going away anytime soon. I cover that a little bit in the horoscopes that I'll read for tomorrow's new moon, and I also cover the I'm jumbling my words, sorry. I cover it in quite a bit of detail in the horoscopes that will be released this week on Thursday. I focus pretty much solely on Mars because I haven't really had a chance to talk about it in the horoscopes yet. But now's the time. Like, the iron is hot, to paraphrase the energy with Mars, and it's building. It's getting bigger. It just, like, the energy sort of reflects the way Mars appears in the sky as the retrograde comes closer and closer. It gets bigger, it gets brighter, it's in the night sky longer. So the pre-retrograde shadows actually starts on the 4th. So we are getting heavily steeped in this energy, and these themes will start to show themselves to each of us. Look at what's happening on the world stage. I had like 3 minutes of news in the background as I was getting ready to record this, and my God, it's getting scary. So this Mars and Cancer energy element in all of this, especially with the water trine, is most definitely helping us with the action piece, the reality check, the severing energy. Self-protection is probably also a theme coming in, but taking the action as a form of self-protection and preservation. If family is involved, like protecting them as well with whatever is getting released is part of it, with Mars connecting in the energy that in this way, in the sign of Cancer, but also connecting to Venus and connecting to Saturn. So we have that. And then the other big piece with the Mars energy is it squares the eclipse. So we have the emotional undertones, we have everything else we've already discussed. Mars gives the square energy as the push, the agitation, the take action now energy. So eventually this month we'll have Sun square Mars. As everything moves through Libra, it will square Mars. I'll cover this in the next Astro-Weather Check as Mars gets closer and closer to these later degrees of Cancer. It's going to connect with all the outer planets. It's going to join the kite to an extent, but also in some harmonious ways as well. Actually, very harmonious ways, but we have a Mars-Pluto opposition incoming, which isn't always the kindest energy. But we shall see. We'll talk about it when we get there. Pluto is also going to be going direct soon. So that last chapter, that last part of the story since 2008 that Pluto's been working on in all of us individually, but also collectively. Last chapter is being written right now. The review period is almost over. And then Pluto will move on in November into Aquarius, where it will secure itself for the next 20 years, roughly. So we'll cover that as well. But just know that that's sort of an underlying theme as well. We're in that cardinal energy with Libra. We're in that last phase of Pluto and Capricorn and that deconstruction project that's been going on for a really long time. So that's what we've got as far as the eclipse energy. I think what I'd like to do next is read the horoscopes. And then I do want to cover the degrees as I feel like they're a really good guide. I read through them before I hit record, just to kind of add another framework for an interpretation for the energy. So we'll stop at the chart for now. Let's do the horoscopes. So these came out last week on Thursday. These are for, if anyone's unfamiliar with what I've been doing here, back in May, I started writing weekly horoscopes for Shore Local News Magazine. It's pretty much the only weekly paper we have left here in South Jersey, and it's free. You can get it in any grocery store, liquor store, restaurant, wherever they have Wawa's, wherever they have a Shore Local newsstand. You can get the print version. And then it's also online. They have a whole online edition with that issue app, but you can also get the it's like a blog, it's a WordPress site, so you can actually just get right to the horoscopes there too. We push these out every week on our Sea Goddess socials to our email list. Shore Local sends out an email as well. And there's the print version, which is, like I said, available anywhere. They cover most of South Jersey. There's a mainland edition, an Ocean City edition, and a coastal edition. So this comes out every Thursday, like I said, and the horoscopes are from Thursday, the day that the issue comes out, to the following Wednesday. So it's not like a standard week like you think, Sunday to Saturday. It's Thursday to Wednesday because it covers their week for the issue. So this week I focused on the eclipse. Next week's horoscopes, like I said, that will come out on Thursday this week, focus on Mars. So here we go. These are written based on your rising sign. So if you know your rising sign, you're good. You're good to go. Listen for the right one. If you don't know your rising sign, you can cast your astrology chart for free on astro.com. I made a whole rising sign tutorial video, which is available on our Sea Goddess YouTube. So you can learn more about that there, or book a reading with your favorite astrologer, and you'll get the all the information on your chart in that. So here we go. For Aries rising, your relationships remain an area of focus this week. However, it's now about letting go rather than balance. Trust your feelings and consider no longer investing in people who don't honor your truth, negatively affect your mental well-being, or invade your privacy. So that is for Aries rising, because the eclipse is happening in your 7th house. For Taurus rising, this will be my horoscope. Having your daily needs met is important. There's a direct connection between feeling truly satisfied and your vitality. Increase what makes you feel more alive and decrease what doesn't. And that is for you, Taurus rising, because the eclipse is happening in your 6th house. Gemini. Being in a state of flow is a joyful experience. You may be getting a nudge to detach from things that are creative blocks. Take action and enjoy more pleasure. So for Gemini rising, that eclipse is happening in your 5th. Cancer rising. If you're feeling more aggressive than usual lately, channel it into doing something fun, learning something new, or a new exercise routine, especially if home life is a contributing source. Remember that emotions are energy in motion. For Cancer rising, the eclipse is happening in your 4th house. Leo. How have you been seeing yourself differently within the last month? And how have you been communicating your new perspective? Be intentional about having awareness of what's been shown to you about yourself. And that for you, Leo rising, is because the eclipse is happening in your 3rd house. And the Mercury retrograde happened in your 1st. Virgo rising. It's time to put your natural talents to work. Clearing out clutter, getting organized, and detaching from stuff that's no longer serving you are the tasks at hand. Yard sales or local markets may even present opportunities to sell some things. And for you, Virgo rising, that's because it's happening in your 2nd house. Libra. The perspective shift that comes with learning how to put oneself first can overflow into other areas of life. Be mindful of changes stirring in your work, partnerships, and home life. And that for you, Libra, big energy for you, big story changes and storylines with all those checkpoints I mentioned. It's in your 1st house. Scorpio. There may be an energetic house clearing of sorts this week. With the cobwebs spun in the deepest corners of your psyche being brushed away. Clarity and a new mindset have space to grow. And for you, Scorpio rising, that's because the eclipse is happening and have been happening in your 12th house. Sagittarius. It's okay to desire a different direction in your life. When things aren't feeling fully in alignment, take action and set foot on a new path. Set the sail for the winds of change. And that for you, Sagittarius rising, is because it's happening in your 11th house. Capricorn. The final phase of a career shift that's been in the works for a while may be incoming. Get excited for a new chapter that encourages self-expression. And that for you, Capricorn rising, big, big energies for you, is happening in your 10th house. And that last Pluto chapter in your 1st. So that ties in. Aquarius rising. You may be feeling more driven to achieve tasks or a larger long-term goal. Welcome the motivation and use it to your advantage. And that for you, Aquarius rising, is because the eclipse is happening in your 9th house. And then Pisces rising. You may be even more aware of emotional baggage and behavior patterns that you've outgrown. Active release and surrender are the way forward. Maturity, personal authority, and grace are benefits of the process. And that for you, Pisces rising, the eclipse is happening and have been happening in your 8th house. So sensitive, deep area there. Okay, so the weekly summary. The final eclipse of 2024 is incoming this week with the Libra New Moon total solar eclipse on Wednesday, October 2nd at 2:49 p.m. Unlike the last total solar eclipse on April 8th, this one won't be visible in New Jersey or anywhere in the United States. The energy of it will still be felt, however, with emphasis on carrying forward the balanced themes from the equinox. A maturation of any new ideas, perspectives, or creative projects that began in August could also be a prevailing theme. There will be undercurrents of our deepest desires rising to the surface and taking action to instigate much needed change. So, does that resonate? Let me know. I'd love to hear. This is like, I might start talking to them about doing something a little different with this or continuing on in this format, but adding something else to my weekly contribution. Because this kind of feels like it, kind of like sometimes the podcast feels to me like I create it and I submit it and it goes out and it feels like it just goes out into the ethers, into a black hole. Because I love feedback. I don't care what kind of feedback it is. Just, if these are resonating for you, let me know. Make a contribution to the crowdfunding campaign. I might start encouraging more dialogue with readers. Like, this has a big distribution, and I just, this is my stealthy way, I guess you could say, of helping people, because that's the intention behind the way that I write these. I go deep with the horoscopes because I feel like it's not just entertainment at this point. Like, so many people are in tune now that the guidance that it can offer, even if you're not aware of how the guidance is being offered with the way that these are written, that's just my way of being of service. So comment, email me, whatever, if those resonate for you, especially with that incoming tomorrow. Let me know. Email is ursaalchemy@gmail.com. All right, let's cover the symbols. So we'll start with the Sabian symbol. And just to review for anyone here who hasn't been with me before or has an idea of what these are, there are channeled symbol sets for every degree of the zodiac. There are multiple sets of them. And I have this 2-volume book, The Circular Temple by John Sambach, that covers pretty much most or all of the symbol sets except the Sabian symbols. That's a whole other set. There's books about those as well. But just different people got different downloads for every degree of the zodiac, and they're all put together in this. So the way that we work with these is we round up to the nearest degree. So the eclipse is happening at 10 and change of Libra. So the symbol set that you would read from or refer to would be for 11 degrees of Libra. So let's do that, and then we'll pull the cards and we'll close out for today. So the Sabian symbol is a professor peering over his glasses. Interesting. And then these get more interesting. So for 11 Libra, the degree angel, Asalia, global transformation, contemplation, transforming/experimental. Interesting. And then we have the title of this degree, attuning to signs which light one's spiritual way and the desire to use them to benefit others, or the mystery of understanding. The Omega symbol. In a Tibetan monastery, hundreds of candles burning. In the darkest of passages through life, there is kept burning the lights of helping influences. If we can only maintain our contact with them, you are always aware, somewhere in your being, that where you put your attention is the key to moving beyond the illusion of physical reality. You sense that where you place your focus is what can ultimately change everything. The Pleiadian symbol. A holy man lecturing to a group of mountains. Do the mountains listen? Of course they do. Do they respond? Yes, slowly and maybe subtly, or in an unseen way. When truth is spoken, the universe listens. Truth never falls on deaf ears, even though the conscious mind may seem to not understand or reject what it hears. Something deeper and greater is listening. Chandra symbol. Tea leaves that form a pentagram. The tea leaves have settled after the tea has been consumed, leaving a pentagram. This is a meaningful coincidence. You're about perceiving order and finding meaning in the seemingly random occurrences of life. These meaningful coincidences are a way of connecting with the divine, as are the candles of the Omega symbol. To gain the most form from you need, this book has typos, I'm sorry. To gain the most form, you need to be aware of these signs as they come to you and be sensitive to your intuition and instincts, so as to tune into the spiritual forces that are in so many ways making themselves known. The pentagram signifies the life force, harmony, and health organizing forces always there and always wanting to imprint themselves on our lives. There is only one spiritual light, but it manifests in many forms, as signified by the hundreds of candles of the Omega symbol. Just as the tea leaves of the Chandra symbol seem to be at the mercy of chaotic and random forces, they are actually agents of the divine harmony of the universe. They understand the pentagram they are forming, just as the mountains understand the holy man. And then the last one, the Azoth symbol. Men meditating as they walk repeatedly around the walls of an ancient city. The patient and faithful maintaining of a spiritual focus in all relating. I think that should be is all relating. The retraversing of the same territory over and over to induce a greater and greater refinement of awareness. The truth here is that it does not matter where you go, only that you carry with you in your mind and heart in the going. And also, as we are moment by moment moving into a higher consciousness, there is no true repetition, for we are always a different person when we do something again. I think these are extremely powerful right now with what I introduced to the start, the power of affirmations and holding this vision for the month. The reminder to be very cognizant of the energy that we all form as individuals with our thoughts, and how when you have billions of people thinking the same thing, how that definitely sends ripples into the fabric of the universe and materializes in whatever we're seeing in our reality. And to remember the spiritual connection. So I kind of put all this together with a very intentional focus on the water tribe and the connection that the ruler of all of this is making to Saturn and Pisces. Like I said, That reminds us of the form of the dream, the form of the unseen. Saturn is the ruler of our skeletal system, our bones, like how we can be human. And in Pisces, it's reminding us that we have the ability to put form to that transcendent energy, individually and collectively. So imagine if everybody turned off the TV or the news or whatever your information source is to help you tap into whatever's going on, continents away, the conflict and all of the horror that's happening everywhere, and come just back to yourself. Light a candle and think about peace and harmony and releasing things that are disturbing all of that. However, that is the action that we take in our own lives, or if it's an intention on a global scale, we can all make a very positive contribution to this without even being there anywhere around it. I think that these symbols, particularly at this time, especially with the connection with the water trine to the energy of the new moon and the eclipse, and also that Mercury is right there, mindset, the air element, the communication, like you can say these things out loud, you can say affirmations like I see peace, like the visualization part of it, like all the ways that we can communicate with our thoughts, with our words, I think is really important to remember right now, because we can get so lost in the dread and the fear and those lower vibration things. And because we're at such a potent point for release, I think it's really important to remember all of that and the power that we all have, even when we feel so powerless. All you have to do is just sit down for a few quiet moments and light a candle and think about world peace or whatever it is on the global scale in your own life, whatever. And that just helps fuel that intention into the ether, I guess you could say is the best way to describe that. Our thought forms kind of going out into the energies that surround all of us that we can't see. So remember that. And then also, we'll do a Peace Warrior card. So this is the deck I love to use, written by the wonderful local Colleen St. Michael's. Peace Warrior. I always, always, always love using this, especially when we're dealing with Libra and Pisces energy, or Libra and Aries energy, sorry, because it's Venus and Mars. It's all of that energy that gets kind of fueled in, and these are angel cards. So we'll pull from one of those and remember that you can be the Peace Warrior yourself. And since we're in eclipse season and still in the time between the two, as my teacher dubbed the dragon hole, we can call them dragons too. These are a potent energy that are always available to us to help with whatever. We all have a personal dragon, or maybe several, depending. The dragons work with the energies. They have been in fantasy and myth and story forever for a reason. I think the ancients knew that dragons were very real. So to learn more about dragons, Jess and I taught a lot of the material from Diana Cooper's book about dragons in that class, downloadable right on our webpage. You can dive into that class. It's almost 2 hours and just learn basic fundamental information about dragons. We share our personal stories and connections and how we became more aware of their energies. And Diana Cooper also created this companion oracle deck to go with the book. So I always love pulling from this when it's eclipse season. So let's do the dragon card first, actually, and then we'll do the Peace Warrior card, and then we'll close out for today. So, and I work with these dragons on my own personal dragon, but also on a collective level. You can send them intentionally to spaces to clear out energies. You can send them for protection. There's dragons that connect with different stars and galaxies. Like this realm is so diverse and powerful. The dragons relate to different elements. There's also combinations of the elements. They are a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful energy. And of course, in perfect alignment. Air and fire dragon expands your creative energies, harness your creativity, excitement, and enthusiasm, communicate your passion. Oh my God. So Mercury in Libra as the midpoint of the cycle that started in Leo, fire and air. Libra, air, Aries, fire, nodes right now, where the dragon's head and tail are. And look at that. Look at, there's a volcano in the background. This dragon is just harnessing the energy of the lava that's coming down and creating, I'm sure, some kind of magic with it. So that's the card. If you want to see the card, hop over to the video version of this on Spotify or on YouTube. So this is one of the elemental dragons, and they are the fourth dimensional dragons. And let's see what is written in the book for this one. Creativity and passion. That's where we're at, everyone. All right. So once again, air and fire dragon expands your creative energies, harness your creativity, excitement, and enthusiasm, communicate your passion. Shimmering fourth dimensional blue and orange air and fire dragons are very vocal. They love to express themselves and make their presence known. They often create turbulence as they swirl around us. Air mixes with fire to ignite an explosion of creativity, enthusiasm, and aliveness. These dragons make us feel happy, excited, and sometimes a little unsettled or even overwhelmed. At the same time, the element of fire transmutes lower energies and clears the path of our destiny, while air enables us to communicate our passion at a soul level. Guidance. Choosing this card indicates it is time to harness your gifts and talents for your highest good and that of the world. You have something in your soul to bring forward. So your guidance is to decide what fires your enthusiasm, then trust your inner wisdom and talk about it. Take a chance and step onto your true path of happiness and creativity. Remember that excitement and passion are magnetic qualities and will draw the right people and situations to you. This card can also suggest that circumstances may present themselves to you in which you will be required to make a rapid decision using your intuition and discernment rather than logic. The air and fire dragon who has come to you is telling you to trust yourself. You have all you need to make the right choice. With your air and fire dragon beside you, success is ensured. So that's a really good reminder for everybody right now and for me. And then we will close out with the Peace Warrior card. So let's see what the angel guidance is. Divine puzzling. Remember who you are. Card number 42. All right. Let's get our mic drop moment here. 1 of 3. Okay. Divine puzzling. You are not the pain you feel. You are not the wounds you have felt. You are not the myriad of emotions swirling. You are love. You are light. Remember who you are. You were born with the greatness in you. Nothing is impossible when you remember who you are. Perfect spirit moving in a human body. Sending love, protection of angels, and endless belief in you. Things must come undone to be placed back together. Angel action. Affirm to yourself that you are light and you are love. Have peace with the fact that not all of the puzzle pieces are given to us at one time. The journey offers one piece at a time to then create the big picture. Think about the pieces of your puzzle that have given you pain. Have they taken over too much of your life? How much attention have you given the pieces that have created joy in your life? Colleen's message: I have peace with the process, and I am now enjoying every piece of the puzzle along the way. I no longer try to force it to fit where it doesn't belong. Love that, I must say. And your puzzle pieces are the 3 eclipses. So apply that in the dates that I shared and the degrees. If you've got planets in Libra, if you have planets in any of the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, the energies of the last year and few months up until the end of this year have probably been working on you in a very particular way. If you have had eclipses on natal planets in Libra or in Aries, then they're definitely working on you in some way. That first eclipse, I shared all about this in my Transmuting Fear Becoming Chiron episode, was at 21 degrees. So that one was on my Pluto. So if you're a Pluto in Libra generation, particularly towards the later degrees of Pluto in Libra, it's definitely been working on you in some way. And then the one incoming tomorrow at 10 degrees is very close to my sun. So my sun's at 13 degrees of Libra, and that eclipse will be at 10. So usually it's direct hits that make the most impact, but ones that hover around natal planets are still impactful in my experience. So stay tuned, think about things, reflect a lot going into tomorrow's energy. Eclipses are just like the lunation on steroids to an extent. So ritual and that kind of stuff, not usually recommended during eclipse season, but you can certainly think about intentions moving forward. It is still a new moon. So yeah, I hope that everything that I brought into today's Astro-Weather Check has been helpful for you. Please let me know, give me feedback, whatever way. It goes on our socials too, so comments on where it's posted on Ursa Goddess Facebook, Ursa Goddess Instagram, my Ursa Alchemy Instagram. You can DM me if you don't want it to be public. You can email me if you don't want it to be public, ursaalchemy@gmail.com. Check out the site, check out all the exciting things we have coming up. Come get a reading with me on Thursday in person if you want. That'd be a great birthday gift. Contributions to the crowdfunding campaign in these last days would also be a wonderful birthday gift. Or just, bookings or whatever feedback. Remember, stars, reviews, comments, likes, follows, all of that stuff really helps us all out as creators of podcasts and content and all of that. So I will leave you all with that for today, and happy release. Remember to be a maverick. Bye.